All right, we're back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I think clearly there were so many Knicks fans on the internet yelling and screaming about the fact that they did not do anything that we broke it. We broke it. We successfully broke the internet today. Congratulations, Jeremy.
It's a good day. I mean,
It's a great day.
I don't know if it is, but
well, could we actually just say our shirts worked?
Yeah, they did. Frank,
the fact that Frank is going to make it, even if they don't re-sign him, the fact that he's going to make it to the end of his rookie contract is kind of hysterical.
Yeah. Just hope he breaks the Charlie Ward curse.
Oh, man.
Ideal.
Now I buried the lead before where I was talking. Yeah. I mentioned Lowry. I mentioned all these people. The real story of the offseason is, what is Frank Ntilikina's extension going to be?
Yeah. Well, so we were talking about players to target in free agency, right? For 2021. Yes. So again, I mean, we're probably going to see maybe a small salary dump here or there. And I'm talking about like Ed Davis type, because there are a few teams that I'm sure would love to get in on those types of deals, and it's going to be competitive. The Thunder have competition with the Knicks. The Knicks have competition with the Spurs. It's not going to be the easiest of opportunities. So with a limited market, how do you go about that? How do you get something? And the idea here is, I'm if the Knicks were as interested in Lonzo Ball as we speculate they are or were, then I'm sure they're saying like, well, if we offer $20 million, are the Pelicans really going to say, let's do it? Are they going to say, no, we're good? Because at this point, cap space is at your disposal. But if there were a deal where the Knicks were to do this,
for Lonzo,
okay, where they're offering him a big offer sheet, I think I would feel more comfortable at the prospect of it if it's in declining scale. If it descends, that I'd be like, okay, well, you've got a ton of cap space this year, so you might as well use it. That's fine. Take up a bigger chunk with Lonzo's salary. And then as the years go on, it goes down, your other expenses go up, and that creates a little bit more space. But
can I want to jump in here real quick. Since the Timmy offer sheet, has there been a situation in the NBA where a team made a big offer, put out a big offer sheet to a guy, and basically with the design of like, we're going to offer so much money that the team is going to balk, and not match? Or have we seen more situations where like there's been a sign and trade? Because I don't think that's happened since then.
Not for the Knicks, at least.
I don't think it's. I'm going to quickly look, but I don't feel like, because I feel like the way things go now.
You mean just in terms of restricted free agency in general?
I'm talking about when a guy's a restricted free agent and like there's a team that wants him. I feel like if there's situations where the person has switched teams as a restricted free agent, it's something where it gets worked out between all three parties, between the player and the two teams. Where there's
Bogdanovich.
What?
Bogdanovich is the most recent example.
Like Bogdanovich, precisely. Something like that. I feel like that's the way things go in the NBA now. And that if Lonzo is going to be a Knick next year, it's not going to be a situation where the Knicks are sitting around trying to figure out, what do we have to offer? Do we have to offer 18 million? Do we have to offer 20 million? Do we have to offer 22 million? Do we have to order 20, whatever? It's going to be like, all right, Lonzo, do you want to come here? Yes. Okay, great. Let's agree on a number. And then take that number back to New Orleans and be like, all right, here's the number we agreed on. What do you need for us to let him go for that number? And to me, that's a better situation than, paying Lonzo Ball $22 million a year, for instance. I would rather pay him $16 million a year and give up Kevin Knox and
right, some sort of sign and trade,
the 32nd pick in the draft.
Yeah, or even if you're able to load up on, like, if you can designate your $50 million, have it be towards some of Lonzo, some of accumulating other assets in some way, and then also trying to find some sort of like quality, like maybe it is a Fournier type. It wouldn't be, but just for a moment, humor me. Yeah. That mindset of how you can build a team that way, that's how you build a better team. But what is really the ceiling of that team? Maybe next year it would be around the same place that the Knicks are in right now, maybe a little bit better. But other teams are going to get better too. So it just doesn't move the needle, but it doesn't necessarily have to. There are a lot of opportunities here. I just don't know if they're really viable for the Knicks. It's going to be really fascinating to see.
I mean, let's put Lonzo aside because listen, there's going to be talk about Lonzo from now until the summer, and he's obviously going to be a name to watch. I think Oladipo, we could put that's done. Like the fact that they could have had him for nothing and didn't want him, I think speaks very. You know what? Let's look. I am Mr. Nick apologist. I am always looking, admittedly, for any angle where I could be like, I believe that this front office knows what they're doing. Here's my angle. The fact that they could have gotten Victor Oladipo for fucking nothing and chose not to shows me that this front office has a clue. Because in years past, you want to say, if there was a guy that came available, it was a two-time All-Stars, 28 years old. The people running this team would have been like, "Ooh, give me that. Let me. What can I give you to get that?" Now, the people running this team, theoretically, it would seem, have watched Victor Oladipo play basketball in the last 2 months, and have seen that he's not good, and that it's just not a good situation. So kudos to them for that. We got the details on the Dallas deal for JJ Redick and Nicolo Melli. They sending James Johnson, Wes Iwundu. Shout out to Wes Iwundu. I always like Wes Iwundu, and a second round pick. Just giving away those picks to acquire JJ Redick and Nicolo Melli. Okay, interesting. So it looks like the Pelicans are kind of tanking because Melli played minutes for them. I think he was not a lot of minutes, but he was a piece. That's interesting. And Dallas is loading up. I hope it doesn't improve their draft pick too much. But at the very least, maybe I won't look like such an idiot for saying before the season that I would sign for the 21st pick in the draft. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay. Other than ball, I feel like the next place that people's attention is going to gravitate will be to Bradley Beal. Because Bradley Beal, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, can sign the Supermax this summer?
He should be able to, yes.
Yeah, I think he could sign.
Yes. I mean, no matter what, he's going to be eligible.
He could have signed it last summer, and it didn't.
Right. Yes. He's going to be eligible at worst for the 35% max after next season, which would be, he'd be a 10-year veteran. So after 2022, he could sign for, 35% of whatever that is. I think it's starting at least around $40 million. But interestingly enough, he's being paid 37 next year. He's got a trade kicker as well. But yeah, I'm sure that especially with Zach LaVine's name pretty much crossed off the board.
I don't know about that. I don't know that I want Zach LaVine.
If Zach LaVine makes an all NBA appearance, and I know that's tricky. I wouldn't say it's likely to happen, but if he does, he's actually eligible for a Supermax. And if he has a Supermax, that's hard to turn down.
So let me just...
And speaking of super.
Yes.
Got a nice super chat.
Yes, I'm about to read that. Michael Aaron. So what do you guys think happens now with Alfred and our point guard rotation for the rest of the season? Justin Wright, pretty disappointed. Tibbs deserved a player to make a push for the playoffs. He's proven the concept. Give him players. Look, I think let me just address the second one first. I think if Tibbs pushed, if Tibbs really wanted Victor Oladipo, looking at what was given up for him, again, nothing. It was nothing. Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk. I think he could have gotten Victor Oladipo. Who else could he have gotten? I don't know. But Tibbs is a prominent voice in that room. And I think that has been reported. It's a collaborative effort, the whole thing. But I don't know. I kind of think that Tibbs is maybe a little bit more okay with the situation than we believe, especially since the types of guys that were available, again, Evan Fournier, I don't know if that's a Tibbs guy. I think, Tibbs would rather maybe have, for his detriment or otherwise, Reggie Bullock out there on the floor. As far as Michael Aaron's comment, what do you think happens with the point guard rotation? My 2 cents, I hope I'm wrong. I think Peyton is still going to be the starter, and I think Rose is going to back him up when he's healthy. That's my guess. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope so too, but I think that's seems
We
like
all
that's
hope
gonna be
that
the
I'm
situation.
wrong. That's fantastic.
Someone made a great point. Zach Harper, he said Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk instead of Karis LeVert and Jarrett Allen. My God, that's
Wait,
true.
say that again. I missed that. I was reading
Well,
a report from Ian.
The Rockets instead of getting Karis LeVert and Jarrett Allen are getting Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah, they and listen, we talked about that at the time. They bumblefucked that situation 10 ways from Sunday. Ian Begley, sources familiar with the New York Knicks Lonzo Ball trade talks expect the Knicks to have renewed interest in acquiring Ball after the season. Of course.
Yeah.
I'm gonna what are your thoughts are the point guard rotation stays the same, and what was the other thing? Oh, do you think the Knicks did Tibbs dirty by not getting him a player?
No, because they also got him Derrick Rose.
Yeah, that's true. They did get him.
It's unfortunate that Rose has, been battling COVID, and hopefully he returns soon. But it's not like the Knicks just sat on their hands completely. There was a good move. I think now that we are past the deadline and we can evaluate everything as a whole, I think that there has been some mismanagement, but I wouldn't say that trading for Derrick Rose is that. I think that that was still a smart and prudent move. It was one I was at first very much against, especially when you consider like what I thought he would cost, but he didn't cost that much. And when I found out he didn't cost that much, I was more on board with it. So, I think that they gave him something, and hopefully that's something that the Knicks can work with. But, I also have to wonder if the front office has some doubts about the remainder of the season as is. I think they feel confident that this is
What do you mean by doubts?
And doubts in the sense of, Chicago's upgrading, the Heat are upgrading, teams around them. The Hawks, I guess you could say they upgraded.
I don't even. Does what Chicago did today really matter to them? I think they're looking at look, the East. There's the top four,
right?
And there was no. There's
a floor. There's a floor, and they're not going to go below that floor. And I think the Knicks are totally fine with that because ideally you try to get in the 4, 5, 6. That's probably not going to happen. Then there's the 7th and 8th seeds. If you get in there, if you lose, okay, you play the winner of the 9-10. If you get in the 9-10, you lose, you're done. I'm sure the Knicks would love to be in that 7-8 position, but I think that they are realistic in that, okay, anything goes in that type of environment. So
yeah,
are we really going to give up assets, especially if they're long-term assets that we feel comfortable we can get in free agency, or if they are just like things that just won't benefit us to such a degree that it raises our floor that much, then they're probably like, let's just roll with what we have. And again, I'm not mad. I just wish that they had turned it into something more. And there's still time.
Yes.
But it's really compressed because with this team, right? Like I very much wanted to have more assets, right now than the Knicks had a couple hours ago. And
yeah, we wanted to
have one, right? It's that Sixers pick, and that's kind of meaningless.
It's a shitty pick,
right? So it's like, okay, well, are you able to then do what the Hawks did with the Nets when they took on Allen Crabbe and some sort of first round pick compensation? Like that would be ideal if we're talking about someone like Bledsoe, because that was the conversation being had yesterday. That's what fans online were discussing.
And to me, if there is an opportunity cost that was missed today, it was Bledsoe. But again, you're not just talking about Eric Bledsoe for next year, which in and of itself is a lot of money for a guy that, like, man, he's been bad. He's not been good this season. And I've come on this podcast and I have said, like, hey, he was really good in Milwaukee. Maybe he's like actually undervalued now. No, I think I was wrong about that. He's not good. He's hasn't been bad. Like there was an opportunity for him to thrive in New Orleans. He did not take it. He's getting older. He's getting more expensive. And on top of next season's cost, there is a $4 million guarantee for the following season, which is like, that's not nothing. And I just want to,
but you can stretch it, which is great.
You can stretch it. You can, but again, that's the habit. You don't want good franchises don't get into the habit of doing shit like that.
Right.
And I just want to say, just a quick note on the Ian Begley Lonzo Ball report. Mark Berman has reported over the last several days that Lonzo Ball would have interest in signing with the Knicks long term. Ian confirms that Ball would have interest in joining the Knicks. Interesting. The Houston Rockets and John Wall are not discussing a buyout. League source.
I'm surprised that was even on the table to be
He's been-
considered.
Isn't he signed
regardless.
for 2 more years?
Yeah, it's bad. It's a bad contract.
You're kidding me. Goodness. Okay. Thanks for putting that out. I mean, look, it's whatever. It is. It is. So, sorry, I have so many scattered thoughts here. Oh, Beal. So you brought up a little bit. Okay. Fine. Let's cross off Zach LaVine, and I'm not terribly heartbroken about that. I think eyes will start turning to Beal this summer because he's the next most obvious name that is going to be on the trade market. I still don't know why they didn't discuss him in a trade this trade deadline, but we'll see. Other than him and Lonzo, like there are guys. There's Norm Powell. There's Kelly Oubre Jr., who I think is like vaguely interesting. There are. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. If there's anybody else that's like really getting your blood flow up.
I mean, again, I think we can fully cross Gary Trent Jr. off the list.
Yeah,
I personally had him crossed off anyway, but this seals the deal. Toronto can afford to keep him.
Spencer Dinwiddie, which everybody in the chat's going to kill me for because we all hate Spencer Dinwiddie, and I hate Spencer Dinwiddie too, but I still think Spencer Dinwiddie's a pretty good basketball player. But again, that's something else the Knicks didn't do. They didn't trade for Spencer Dinwiddie. But again, as we've been talking about, that's partially because his bird rights mean nothing to them, or almost nothing to them.
Right.
So there's just, there's not that much out there. I would not be surprised if we started hearing, given the situation now, if we did not start hearing a lot of reports about like the Knicks are going to figure out a way to get Lonzo.
Right. And if they do, that is why I so wish that they could have used this opportunity to create assets.
Oh,
so
Conley. Conley, thank you, Carlos Matos. Mike Conley. Yeah.
I don't think Conley's going anywhere.
I don't think Conley's going anywhere either, but he deserves to be mentioned. As does Kyle Lowry, by the way, deserves to be mentioned.
But now here is a thought. Because the Jazz are going to be in the luxury tax this year, and then they're going to get hit with the repeater next year. Do the Jazz, we know their relationship with the Knicks front office. They made 2 trades this past offseason. Do they unload any salary onto the Knicks that the Knicks have? Like,
who's this?
For the Jazz.
Oh, the Jazz. Okay.
Like, is Derek Favors? Is he someone that the Jazz say, well, we just drafted someone at the 5 in Udoka Azubuike. We could just trade, we could deal Favors, and that kind of lessens our luxury taxes in that way. Or they could just say, no, we got Ryan Smith. He's a billionaire. We're totally fine with keeping it. I don't know. But that sort of thinking, because I think really and this is what a lot of people are going to probably gravitate towards. And if they're not, and I'm inspiring it, then I apologize, but I'm going to quickly shoot it down. This idea of like the man who will not be named and trading for Beal. And then it's like, oh, look at what we have. And it's just not going to happen.
Wait, we have big news. Sources say, this is from Mark Murphy, backup big man Luke Cornett is coming from Chicago as part of a 3-team deal to the Celtics. Luke Cornett moves on again.
It's crushing. That's devastating.
I don't know that I'm going to be able to deal with seeing the Unicornet in a Boston uniform.
Yeah.
Not happy about this.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, look, we'll have time to speculate about that. I think I'll say this, they put themselves in a tougher, I think they put them like a little bit of goodwill was drained today between Knicks fans and this regime because the Knicks didn't have a active free agency. Some people were upset about that. Most people were like us, and for the most part were like, okay, nothing stupid is the right thing to do right now. Now it's the trade deadline, and again, nothing stupid, but a little bit more consternation. And now it's entering another free agency period where if they do nothing again, it's going to be like, okay, guys, what's going on here? Which it's interesting. It's interesting. This is not what I would have expected from Leon Rose, but at the same time, I can't say I'm terribly disappointed that a year and change into his regime, the thing that we're sitting here talking about is stuff that he didn't do. Like, of all the problems that we could have had, just picture this. 13 months ago when he got the job, or whatever, 14 months ago, somebody told you The Knicks are going to enter next season with the worst over-under in the NBA. And you're going to be sitting at the trade deadline with a 500 record, an all-star, RJ Barrett making the leap, probable favorite for coach of the year, and the team does nothing stupid. How are you going to feel? All of us would have looked at each other and be like, "Holy shit, let's throw the party." And we're sitting around here and being like, "Man, wish they should have done something." But so I guess we should maybe have a little bit more perspective.
Yeah,
maybe
I agree.
Or maybe we should just be mad.
Right. Well, but I agree with what you're saying in terms of the slow trickle of doubt, because I'm still very confident in the direction. Because we could be sitting here also saying like, well, I can't believe it traded all of this for, X player, Y player. But I don't know if that's necessarily the biggest compliment, just based on the fact that still at the end of the day, would have liked to see more movement. And it really was just getting Austin Rivers and Brazdeikis out. So I guess it's disappointment. It's not anger.
Yeah.
But
no, I know.
I can sleep well at night knowing that there are still options. There are still ways around this.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm very curious about how they're going to get more assets, how they're going to go about bringing more talent in and growing it from the base up. Because I really don't know. I would be I'm very surprised. Because again, I was expecting something, not even like Alonzo, right? I was just expecting something in the middle of what we got and what we were talking about. And it just didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, but let's say, so somebody asked about Terrence Ferguson in the chat. I'm going to give you his stats in a second. Tim Kim said, thank God we kept our picks. Kispert time, an actual NBA ready player. Yeah, they didn't trade a first round pick, which again, I think you have to be happy about, because I didn't think there was anybody on the market today worth trading a first round pick for. And I think I'm not sure if I said it before. Nothing they could have done today, including traded for Nikola Vucevic, would have made a difference in them, like materially altering their chances of doing anything big this season. Yes, that was what I want to say before I read Terrence Ferguson's stats. Tibbs says it himself. There are 4 avenues to improve as a team. There's free agency, there's trades, there's the draft, and then there's internal development. And I think 2 of those things are very, very much on the table. The draft, obviously, they have these 3 picks coming up. And internal development is the other thing that I don't think we talk about enough. You look at the leap that RJ has made from year 1 to year 2. You look at the leap that Emmanuel Quickly is going to be making from year 1 to year 2. You look at possible additional development from Obi Toppin, Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, dare I say, he's still here somehow. So, all that's on the table. Very quickly on Terrence Ferguson. Terrence Ferguson, it would appear, topped out as an NBA player in 2018-19 with the Oklahoma City Thunder, which was that Russell Westbrook's? He was still there then. He started 74 games, played 26 minutes a game, averaged 7 points, not much else. Was a 36% shooter from 3 on 4 attempts a game. So, not nothing. Then 2019-20 started 38 games. Again, not nothing. 22 minutes a game, 4 points a game. So, and his 3-point shooting went down. His overall shooting went way down. 466 effective field goal percentage. And then this year he's been like not a player in Philadelphia. He's only appeared in 13 minutes or 13 games worth of garbage time. So I don't know. I'd be a little surprised. To me, the question is, when the Knicks sign a big man, because I think they're going to sign a big man, it's who gets waived. Is it Poirier or is it Ferguson? And I think one of those guys is going. I don't know who. I don't know that I really care.
I have to think if they're signing a big man, that Poirier is on the chopping block.
Yeah.
But they carry 5 big men?
No. I think you're right. Poirier would probably be the guy to go. I'm sorry, there's a new Yahoo report on Andre Drummond, but it doesn't say anything of note. All right. Anything? We got a couple minutes left. I guess we'll take some questions from the chat. But anything else we didn't discuss that we wanted to touch on before we get out of here?
I mean, at the risk of sounding like a hater, because I know we did touch upon him a little bit, but again, I think a lot of fans
Aldridge is probably going to go to the Heat, by the way.
Yeah, no surprise. I'm sure a lot of fans are also upset at the idea of Elfrid Payton remaining.
Oh my God, we haven't talked about his fucking ask once.
So, right. And look, I have to be honest, because when I see the conversations online, and it's varied, obviously people are open to their opinions, but it strikes me in so many ways as Stockholm syndrome. This idea of having to love Elfrid Payton, or not even love him, but just accepting that he's here. I think people do accept that Elfrid Payton is here. It's the problem that he's not setting his teammates up for success. And these kind of lazy storylines of like, well, he plays good defense, or he gets to the rim. And it's like, well, when he tries to play defense, he plays defense. That doesn't happen that often. When he gets to the rim, what does he do at the rim? He's misses frequently. He doesn't pass when he drives. He doesn't drive and kick. He's not good. He's just bad. Not. And it's okay to say that. But I know that there are going to be people who are, saying like, well, he's here, just get over it. Again, he is in so many ways what is stopping this team from being what we saw against Philadelphia or Brooklyn or Philadelphia again.
Yeah.
He is a hindrance here. He's not like, and that's another thing. The idea of like, if he wasn't moved, then think about why he wasn't moved, because he's not worth anything. Like, the Clippers could have easily traded for him, but they didn't. They went for Rajon Rondo instead. There's not this overwhelming urge to sign him because he's not a good player. And that's why it's disappointing. And I get it. There aren't that many other options because Derrick Rose is like it is, COVID, Jeremy. And then you have Quickly, who's not, like as veteran ready or, win now. But again, it's just, I just wanted to put it out there because it does physically bother me. The idea that we have to, say like, well, he's here, so whatever. You don't have to accept that.
None of us want to see Elfrid Payton play basketball anymore. I don't enjoy watching Elfrid Payton play basketball. It's annoying. I wish they were able to move on from him. They didn't. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. But I'll tell you this: I hope Tibbs and I did initially suspect that Payton would not be the starting point guard by this point in the season. He still is. I really hope Tibbs makes a change and starts Rose, because Rose should start. Elfrid Payton should not start anymore. Rose should start, and Payton should be a backup. That's my 2 cents. A bunch of people are asking about Otto Porter in the buyout market. I like my newborn is expressing her feelings on Otto Porter, and I can't say I blame her. Otto Porter, he's not like, I know he's a guy that signed a $100 million contract. Not, what was it, 3.5 years ago? He's not, I don't think he's not like a difference maker. He is a 40% shooter from three this year. He's averaging 10 points a game. He's fine. He's fine. He started 6 games. He plays 20 minutes a game. He's fine. I don't know. It's not someone that I'm terribly excited about. You?
Let me throw it from this perspective. If you're Otto Porter, what is the rush to sign with the Knicks, especially if you're bought out? Yeah, and the money is if it's just about the Knicks paying for deferrals for what Orlando has, it's like,
yeah. And guess what? He's probably taking Frank's rotation spot. If
right.
So no,
he makes a lot more sense on a contender. I don't know what contender that would be, but he just doesn't fit here. And that's fine.
Yeah. All right. So we have a little under 10 minutes left. Jonas Platt is saying he'd rather Bullock and Burks. Like, that's kind of how I'm going to emerge from today. If I'm being glass half full, which I'm going to try to be glass half full. I think, wow, my daughter's really not happy that the Knicks did not do anything. I don't even think I've heard her make that noise before. She's like a little baby bird that hasn't eaten. We're feeding our child, don't worry. But the thing that I'm going to emerge from this today with the glass half full approach is that I do think that there was something, because I think if the Knicks wanted to get in on some move today and upend their roster in a significant way, they could have done that. And I think the reports that we've heard, and I've heard the same thing, that the team chemistry is really good, and they were a little bit leery of upsetting that team chemistry. I think those are real. I think that's a legitimate thing. And if I'm going to talk myself into the fact that they did nothing, the first thing that I'm going to say is that, okay, what's not broke, don't fix it. Granted, 22 and 22 doesn't count as not broke in like a lot of NBA cities. For here, it counts as not broke. So I don't know. That's the best I could do. But I think it's worth mentioning. So yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy?
I think that covers it as well. If there weren't clear upgrades, I do understand. But yeah, I don't see too much action between now and the end of the season, unless it is that, getting that big man, cutting Poirier, and
I don't want Andre Drummond.
No, me neither.
I want no part of Andre Drummond. I don't know if that's completely rational. I don't know if that's a stupid take. I don't know. And I don't want Andre Drummond. I don't need to see Andre Drummond waste 2, 3, 4 possessions a game on post-ups or whatever else. I don't need to see Andre Drummond taking minutes from Mitchell Robinson. I'd rather see Nerlens Noel. I like Nerlens Noel better than Andre Drummond. Is Nerlens Noel a better player than Andre Drummond? No. But like, I
don't know if we're entirely sure about that. And
I
understand that people might say like, well, look at the rebounds. And I just want to say that Chris Herring, I didn't get to read the whole article.
Great piece. Yeah, I read most of it. It's a good article. Yeah.
Basically just talking about how important are rebounds, because, when you think of rebounds, and the first thing that typically comes to my mind is Pat Riley. No rebounds, no rings.
Well, you have to rebound as a team.
Right.
But rebounding as a team is different now, and this is what the Herring article was about, is different now than it was before the 3-point revolution. Mm-hmm. And now it's more about like, you just box out your position. It's like the days of one guy being able to dominate the glass. It's like those days are done. So,
right.
Anything else? I don't, a few people are asking about like, we need a backup 4. Like, look, if you want to back up 4, like play Kevin Knox over Obi Toppin. Like, I think if they're going to give minutes to somebody other than Obi, they're going to give it to the guy who has a year left on his rookie contract, who has proven this season that he could hit corner threes and like not be a complete disaster on the defensive end. That would be my answer to that. A few people mentioned before, Teague's going to get bought out because I think he was involved in a trade to the Magic. I mean, unless you're telling me you're going to buy out Alfred Payton, I don't really have an interest in signing Jeff Teague. He hasn't been good this year either.
The grass is always greener.
The grass is always greener. Yeah.
Teague has been trash.
Yeah, just go look up Jeff Teague's stats if you don't believe us. Other than that, Andrew, do you want to chime in before we get out of here? Is that going to screw up our live stream, or are you allowed to talk? Yeah. It was fine.
A little bit. Actually, I wish it were more stressful, to be quite honest.
Oh, wait, they can't hear you. Oh, well. No, apparently not. Oh, well, we tried. Sorry.
How about
so
now?
to translate with what Andrew was saying.
What I was saying, just in case there's an echo.
Yeah. So basically, he loves Alfred Payton and Andre Drummond. He really wants to spend more time with them on the court together.
Can you guys hear me now?
And Jeremy's just translating. It's fine.
But take my word for it. He loves them. He said that this year is basically like playing with house money, so he's fine with the idea of not going too far in on what's going on. Granted, of course, that Alfred gets to play more minutes, but other than that,
a couple. I just want to say one thing
Good,
for my
now
own.
They're saying we can hear him. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
It's too late.
Yeah.
So Nick Friedel is just sent out a tweet which Bobby Marks retweeted. That's why I'm seeing it. Because I wrote today about Kelly Oubre Jr., who was not in the news at all today, and is going to stay with the Warriors. And they're going to have a luxury tax bill. It's going to be tens of millions of dollars. So he says the Oubre acquisition has always been interesting given the luxury tax ramifications involved. If the Warriors end up re-signing him this summer, that tax bill is going to be astronomical. The tax penalties will double next year because of the repeater tax. I'm shocked that we didn't hear anything about Kelly Oubre Jr.
Me too.
Getting moved to somebody. It doesn't have to be the Knicks, but just to anyone. I mean, I know they moved on from Brad Wanamaker. It's a little bit of money, but like that tax bill is still going to be whatever it's going to be. They
dealt Chris as well.
What's that?
They dealt Marquise Chris.
So they made a couple of moves, but just like, again, the fact that the Warriors are still invested in making the playoffs this year, and even though they're whatever in 9th or 10th place right now is interesting to me. Yeah, I don't want. Here's what I don't want. I don't want Andre Drummond. I have now set my sights on please don't sign Andre Drummond. I'm disappointed, but I'm not upset. Does that make sense? Can I toe that line? Can I have my cake and eat it too? Being disappointed, but not upset. That is the most fair weather bullshit take of all time. And I should be fired for my own podcast for having it. But that's what I'm going to say. I'm disappointed, but I'm not upset.
Yeah. There are two schools of thought, and this really doesn't harm anything, but man, it really would have been nice. It really would have been nice if they had done more.
Oh, wait, hold on. Can I just read this real quick? Ramona Shelburne replied to that. The Warriors had several strong offers for Oubre, but said no. They value him. They still want to make the playoffs and keep optionality for next year. Okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Andrew's holding up a sign and I'm just reading it blindly, not like being like, sorry for no. We apologize for the technical difficulties today. This is the first time we tried to do something like this. All in all, I would say it did pretty well. And I just want to shout out our producer, Andrew Claudio, who did yeoman's work getting this set up. It was delayed because, again, I live in a crazy house right now where people are shuffling around trying to get baby carriers. But we appreciate everybody who came in and contributed with their comments. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for donating to all the people who donated to the Super Chat. We appreciate you. We love you so much. And anything else? Give a thumbs up. Is that a thing they could do? Yeah, give a thumbs up.
Sure.
And yeah, wait, Andrew's still writing something that he wants me to say. He's taking his sweet time here. Jeremy, anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, I want to echo what you said. Andrew did a really awesome job today. Really appreciate it. We would not have been able to do this without him. So thank you very much, Andrew. And what is he saying? 5-star rating.
Oh, yes. This is a podcast too. You may be listening to this in podcast form. Really we're batting 1,000 like the Knicks. Leave a 5-star rating if you're listening to this on your podcast feed. I think that's it. Andrew, is that it?
I think he's still writing. Yeah.
Oh, he just has so much more. This is like the Knicks today. We're waiting for something meaningful, and it's just bullshit. Andrew's just giving us bullshit. It's nothing significant. It's just one bullshit thing after another. Vincent Portier. This is the Vincent Portier of producer comments here. That's what's going on right now. Cut Elfrid Payton.
Yeah.
Okay. It's great. Actually, hold on. Last thing. I want to say one more thing. We didn't mention this guy's name at all. Terrence Ross. Jason M commented, Terrence Ross did not get moved. That's a surprise, and I'll be because clearly the Magic cleaning house, they traded everybody. I'm going to be curious to hear or read any reports that come out in the next several days about if the Magic entertained offers for Terrence Ross. In any case, but that would have been not good because probably would have been Frank going out in the deal, and long live Frank and Lakina. So, all right, let's get out of here. Andrew, thank you. Jeremy, thank you. Everybody listening, thank you. Everybody who watched, thank you. Thank you for being part of yet another Knicks trade deadline and yet another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. We will see you with another episode before you know it.